Hello and welcome to the Pembrokeshire Bird Diary for January 2020. I'm Annie Haycock from the Pembrokeshire Bird Group and I'm going to run through a few of the birding highlights for the month. There was a time when the new year started off with a bird race. It doesn't seem to happen so much now, but some folks determined to get a good start on their 2020 list were surprised by a swift at Marlowe's Mere. This being an unlikely season for a swift, observers were careful to make sure of the species. All features pointed to it being a common swift. At this time of year, swifts should still be in Central Africa. The map shows the track of a bird tagged by the BTO a few years ago. Swifts don't normally arrive in Pembrokeshire until April, with the previous earliest arrival being the 21st of March back in 1960. Marlowe's Mere has turned up a few unusual birds over the years, some of them easier to see than others. But even at a distance, this bird looks different. The odd-shaped head marks it out as being a ring-necked duck. This bird has been at Marlowe's Mere since the 27th of December, along with a male scaup there since the 20th of December. A closer view shows white marks on the bill, which also help distinguish it from the similar scaup and tufted duck. It's a North American species whose normal range is shown in the top map, but which occasionally wanders to Europe as shown by all the sightings in the second map. One or two turn up in Pembrokeshire every few years, usually staying until the spring. It's not only water birds that attract attention. Firecrests are scarce enough to be a red-letter bird for many observers. Richard Ellis found 3 at Carew Cheriton on the 29th of December, and they've been enjoyed by many others since then. More popped up later in the month at Poppet Woods, the Tivy Marshes, the Gann, and even in a Milford Haven garden. In fact, firecrests can turn up anywhere, as shown by the blue dots on the winter distribution map from a few years ago, so it's always worth keeping an eye out for them. Llysafran is a good place for finding gulls, with a spectacle of thousands of lesser blackbacks gathering to roost there most evenings in winter. Herring and black-headed gulls number in the hundreds, and a handful of others can often be found amongst them. One of the unusual ones this winter was a ring-billed gull. This is another North American species that occasionally crosses the Atlantic. They seem to turn up in Pembrokeshire regularly, although most of the recent records are attributed to one individual that has returned to Llysafran each winter since 2006. Another ring-billed gull, the one in this photo, was seen at the Gann later in the month. Glaucous gulls were once a rarity, but are now recorded more regularly, with up to 5 in most winters. This one appeared on the Tivy estuary in mid-January. It used to be thought that birds wintering in Wales probably came from Greenland, but then a colouring juvenile turned up at Holyhead on Anglesey in early 2017. It had been ringed as a chick the previous year in Svalbard, which is well off the north coast of Norway. The Nevern estuary is another good place for gulls, with quite a variety being recorded there. Common gulls certainly aren't unusual, but 250 was an amazing count for anywhere in Pembrokeshire. Sam Baxter is always on the lookout for ringed birds. Over the years, most of them have come from Norway, but this month there was also a first winter bird from Germany. Chris Taylor, who is also on the Bird Group Committee, had organised a programme of outdoor meetings for the next few months. The first of these was scheduled for the 11th of January, but the weather intervened. With strong winds and heavy rain forecast ahead of Storm Brendan, we reluctantly decided to cancel for safety reasons. The worst of Storm Brendan didn't arrive until Monday the 13th, bringing strong winds, with gusts reaching over 100 miles an hour in Scotland, and heavy rain across the western half of the UK. The weather didn't make the wetland bird survey counts easy, but somehow they nearly all got done sooner or later. Each of the dots on the map represents a wetland site that is counted. For most species, counts were within the normal range for January, but there were a few highs and lows. There was an avocet at Hook. Was this the same bird as seen on November the 4th and December the 6th? If so, where was it in between times? Or was it a case of where were the bird watchers? Some parts of the Cleddau get very little attention except for the Webb's counts, yet the whole estuary is of national importance for its winter bird populations. 5 common sandpipers across the county may not seem like much, but it's the highest ever January total. Usually only 1 or 2 are seen midwinter. 58 greenshank was another highest ever midwinter count. We usually see this sort of number only in the autumn migration period. The Cleddau estuary is one of their favourite wintering sites in Wales. Not are another uncommon wader in Pembrokeshire, though we usually do have a few each year. 42 was the highest January total in nearly 20 years. Nothing like the huge flocks from the east coast. If scarce wading birds seem to be faring well, the same could not be said for some of the wildfowl. Normally we'd expect 40 to 50 gadwall, but this year there were only 23, and only 5 goldeneye compared to the 10-year average of 18. But back to the scarcer birds. A Slavonian grebe dropped into Goodwick Harbour on the 14th, and 2 more were seen at the Gann on the 22nd. Toby Phelps counted at least 30 velvet scoter from Wiseman's Bridge on the 19th of January. It wasn't a fluke, as there were at least 27 there a week later. This is by far the highest county total. Previously 9 were seen in St Bride's Bay in 2009 and 9 off Telpin in 2017. How do you tell a velvet scoter from a common scoter? Well, a good pair of eyes and a good telescope help to see the white patches that common scoter don't have. And it's a lot easier if the birds are in flight, when those white secondaries stand out. Well, that's a quick reminder of January. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll be back for the February roundup.